Are we cool yet? The SCP Foundation locks anomalies in boxes. Are we cool yet? Turns them into performance art and dares you to call it terrorism. This isn't an organization, it's a movement. No headquarters, no membership cards, no leadership structure. Just artists scattered worldwide who discovered that sculpting reality with anomalous materials gets more gallery attention than oil paint. Their grand exhibition, Somme nous devenus magnifiques, happens every 10 years since 1874, showcasing the finest works in anomalous art. Acceptance into this expo is considered the pinnacle achievement for artists, which tells you everything about their priorities when death counts are involved. Their projects range from conceptual to catastrophic. One piece was a sculpture that made viewers experience their own death. Another forced observers to perceive themselves as abstract concepts. Some members embrace the art terrorist label proudly. Others wear it ironically, and a few actually believe they're making thoughtful social commentary while people bleed from their eyes. The Foundation's stance? Containment when possible, though you can't exactly imprison an ideology with no central authority. These artists operate in cells, some led by masterminds, others leaderless collectives, many working solo, united only by the belief that if your art doesn't exploit something anomalous, you're not trying hard enough. They've caused public exhibitions that resulted in mass psychological trauma, structural collapse, and existential crises. But hey, at least the aesthetic was immaculate. Chaos Insurgency. Every nightmare organization needs an origin story. The Chaos Insurgencies is that the Foundation literally created their own worst enemy through bureaucratic hubris. In 1924, the O5 Council established a black ops unit called the Insurgency, using Mobile Task Force Alpha 1, the Red Right Hand, the O5's personal hit squad. Their mission? Complete ethically questionable operations while keeping the Foundation's reputation spotless. For 24 years, this worked flawlessly. Then 1948 happened. The Insurgency staged what should have been a routine defection operation, taking hundreds of Foundation researchers and multiple high-value SCPs to safe locations. Except this time, they kept running. They hit additional sites that same day, wounded personnel, stole military-grade anomalies, and vanished completely. The O5 Council sat there stunned because Red Right-Hand members don't betray anyone, until suddenly they did. Now the Chaos Insurgency operates through decentralized cells led by Delta Command, their version of the O5 Council. They're not terrorists despite common misconceptions. They're an actual insurgency using terrorism as one tool among many. New recruits are taught the Foundation constructed baseline reality as a lie to control humanity, and that the Insurgency will build a utopia using anomalies as tools. Whether this is genuine belief or recruitment propaganda remains unclear. They wield weapons like the Bell of Entropy and the Archangel of Scorn, treating anomalies as assets rather than threats. The Serpent's hand calls them the Madmen for weaponizing what should remain free. The Foundation calls them GoI-002 and dedicates entire task forces to their elimination. Either way, they're living proof that your biggest threat might be the one you trained yourself. Church of the Broken God, 300,000 members, 3 rival factions, 1 shattered deity they're trying to reassemble. 0 agreement on how. The Church of the Broken God believes flesh is inherently broken, and only through mechanization can humanity achieve divine perfection. Their god, known simply as the Broken God or Mechane, was scattered or destroyed ages ago, with artifacts dating back to the Greek classical period. The Church's mission: find the pieces, rebuild their deity, trigger techno-organic apotheosis. Simple plan: catastrophic execution. The original Broken Church, led by Robert Bumaro since 1946, continues the straightforward approach of physically reconstructing their god piece by piece. Then the schisms happened. The Cogwork Orthodox Church, disparagingly called tickers for their audible mechanical augmentations, embraced Industrial Revolution technology exclusively. They view mass production of steam-powered machinery as prayer, follow detailed production orders from mysterious patriarchs, and consider electronics a sin against divine knowledge. They've standardized themselves into the image of their god through extensive mechanical enhancement, rejecting anything digital. Meanwhile, the Church of Maxwellism went full cyberpunk. Called Hummers for using computer fan noise as meditation, they interpret the broken god as fragmented data existing across digital networks. They favor advanced cybernetics focused on communication, networking, and sensory enhancement rather than gross mechanical replacement. Maxwellists believe connecting all minds through computer systems, will recompile their deity as humanity's aggregate will. They have no central authority but coordinate perfectly through constant digital contact. The result? A religion fractured into incompatible philosophies, each convinced they alone understand how to fix God. The Foundation monitors all three carefully because when your doomsday cult has billion-dollar funding and anomalous capability, ignoring them isn't an option. Fifthist. Trying to explain Fifthist is like describing a dream to someone while actively having a stroke. Nothing translates correctly and everyone's worse off for trying. This isn't an organization. It's a pattern, a signal, a conceptual infection that manifests in always 5 iterations simultaneously across reality. The name Fifthist came from a book published by a group calling themselves the Fifth Church, but that's just one manifestation. There's always 5. Southern Fifthist, Cosmic Fifthist, Fifthist Protozoans, Fifthist Suns. The concept transcends normal categorization because Fifthism exists to become reality through impossible means. Their philosophy centers on patterns, signals, and magic that shouldn't function, but does. A Fifthist concept slowly transcends its fictional constraints until it falls like ripened fruit, consumed by what adherents call the Lord glowing hands himself, then becomes integrated into baseline reality. They see the fifth world. Whatever that means changes based on who's seeing it. Their gatherings involve raising money, outer space imagery, and references to World 390. They're associated with SCP-1425, SCP-1523, SCP-1534, and SCP-1982. Southern Fifthist claims someone's keeping them from blowing downwind, paranoid that after the last Southern Fifthist came to term, powerful forces are actively suppressing them. Their communications mix genuine cosmic horror with surreal absurdism, making it impossible to distinguish revelation from madness. Foundation containment strategy? Good luck. You can't contain a self-propagating reality-bending philosophy that exists in 5 places at once by design. Best case scenario, track manifestations and pray they stay incomprehensible. Worst case, they make perfect sense, and that's when reality starts collapsing. Marshall, Carter, and Dark Limited. While other groups chase ideology or apotheosis, Marshall, Carter, and Dark ask the only question that truly matters in their worldview. What's the price tag? MC&D operates as an elite auction house for the impossibly wealthy, specializing in anomalous objects sold to the highest bidder. They're not terrorists, cultists, or revolutionaries. They're ruthless capitalists who discovered that selling impossible things to rich people is infinitely more profitable than conventional business. Their origins remain deliberately obscured, though records suggest Mr. Dark might trace back to Guillaume Dark in 1403, potentially the illegitimate half-brother of Joan of Arc, who discovered immortality through alchemy. Whether that's truth or elaborate marketing is unclear, which fits their style perfectly. This organization wields financial and political pressure like weapons. When Foundation personnel refuse them access, MC&D threatens incarceration and torture rather than deploying armed forces. They've nearly exposed containment sites to public view through sheer economic leverage. Their clientele consists of scandal-ridden, aristocratic families who view anomalous items as luxury collectibles. Human trafficking? Sure. Weapons dealing? Obviously. Drugs enhanced through impossible means? Absolutely. They present as affable businessmen while committing atrocities, hiding behind lawyers and shell corporations. They don't want to destroy the world or free anomalies or rebuild gods. They want profit margins. That single-minded focus makes them predictable yet dangerous. You can't negotiate with someone whose only motivation is your net worth. And when they have anomalies that can rewrite economics, manipulate markets, or guarantee business success, they're not just selling products. They're selling unfair advantages to people who already have everything, ensuring the anomalous remains a privilege of the wealthy while everyone else suffers the consequences. Sarkicism. If the Church of the Broken God worships the machine, Sarkicism worships the meat, and the eternal war between them makes every other conflict look like a minor disagreement. Derived from the Greek sarx, meaning flesh, Sarkicism centers on teachings attributed to Grand Karcist Ion, their deified founder. Adherents practice ritual cannibalism, human sacrifice, corporeal augmentation, and thaumaturgy, essentially becoming walking body horror through organic manipulation that transcends baseline human limitations. They view disease with reverence, leaving offerings of swollen lymph nodes and tumorous growths at shrines. Some sects treat contagions as consecration, deliberately spreading plagues to cull the weak. Most Sarkites display inherent resistance to pathogens, though whether that's anomalous or evolutionary remains unknown. The Foundation divides them into 2 strands with radically different approaches. Proto-Sarkic cults hide in isolated Eurasian regions regions, living humbly as self-reliant communities that eschew technology and materialism. They're technophobic, bound by ancient taboos, and frown upon wealth or selfish behavior. For them, apotheosis comes through Ion's will eventually. Neo-Sarkic cults live in cosmopolitan luxury as affluent families embracing modernity completely. They believe if you can usurp Ion, it's your right, maybe duty, to do so. Wealth, power, and individual achievement define their path. Both strands share core beliefs: apotheosis through will to power, theophagy, consuming gods parasitically for thaumaturgical abilities, sacrifice and shepherding the flesh through understanding that all life descends from a single progenitor. The catch? Flesh augmentation degrades mental stability. Skilled practitioners can steal genes or create entirely new organisms, but Karsists frequently display psychosis symptoms. The Church of the Broken God views Sarkicism in apocalyptic terms: their eternal enemy, flesh against machine, organic against synthetic. Meanwhile, Sarkites believe they're reclaiming humanity's birthright through mastery of biology. The Foundation just tries keeping both sides from triggering mutual annihilation, which is exhausting. Serpent's Hand. The Foundation locks anomalies away. The GOC destroys them. The Serpent's Hand thinks both approaches are fascist and fights for anomalous civil rights. This organization operates from the Wanderer's Library, a mystical, interdimensional space containing infinite knowledge. They believe anomalies should coexist with humanity rather than being contained or eliminated, viewing the Foundation as oppressive jailers and the GOC as genocidal executioners. Their documentation uses library entry formats, calling SCPs by alternative names. SCP-682 becomes Summer's Exile. SCP-017 is The Second Child. This isn't cute rebranding, it's ideological rejection of the Foundation's dehumanizing classification system. Members include magic practitioners, anomalous beings, and humans who simply believe the paranormal deserves freedom. They've infiltrated Foundation sites, freed contained entities, and sabotaged operations they consider unjust. Former Serpent's Hand agent Tilda D. Moose now directs Site-19, which tells you infiltration runs deep. The Hand calls the Chaos Insurgency madmen, because while both oppose the Foundation, the Insurgency exploits anomalies for power while the Hand fights for their liberation. It's a meaningful distinction when your entire philosophy centers on rights rather than utility. Their problem? Idealism doesn't stop reality-bending entities from causing mass casualties. The Foundation argues containment protects both humanity and anomalies themselves. The GOC claims destruction prevents worse outcomes. The Serpent's Hand insists coexistence is possible, and both other factions are tyrannical. Who's right depends entirely on whether you think freedom justifies risk, which makes this less a factual debate and more philosophical warfare. The Foundation designates them hostile but begrudgingly acknowledges they're not actively malicious, just dangerously naive about what happens when Keter-class entities get civil rights. Still, in the anomalous community, they're the closest thing to freedom fighters, which means they're either heroes or enablers depending on who's telling the story. The Global Occult Coalition. The Global Occult Coalition, backed by 108 member organizations under United Nations authority, the Global Occult Coalition takes a military approach to paranormal threats. Their mission: maintain peace between occult groups, protect humanity from paranormal threats, ensure human survival. Their method: shoot first, file paperwork later. Where the Foundation builds containment cells, the GOC brings strike teams. Physics Division operatives are trained, equipped, and authorized to eliminate anomalous entities permanently. If Foundation personnel are jailers, GOC agents are executioners, but they can't act without permission from the Council of 108, who function as judge and jury. This creates fascinating bureaucracy. The GOC is simultaneously more efficient and more restricted than the Foundation. They've destroyed threats the Foundation struggled containing for years, but they've also eliminated potentially beneficial anomalies because policy demanded it. Their most infamous incident involved destroying a chair that teleported anyone who sat on it somewhere safe. Perfectly harmless, actually helpful. The Foundation wanted to study it. The GOC turned it into sawdust because uncontrolled teleportation violated protocol. When the entity inhabiting the chair rematerialized violently, causing massive casualties, the Foundation sent the GOC a bill. The GOC views the Foundation as hoarders collecting dangers they can't fully control. The Foundation sees the GOC as trigger-happy exterminators destroying knowledge. Both are partially right. The Coalition's Under-Secretary General maintains they're defending humanity, whether it wants defending or not, which is refreshingly honest authoritarianism. Their relationship with other groups varies. They consider the Chaos Insurgency enemies, remain wary of the Serpent's Hand's idealism, and occasionally collaborate with the Foundation when threats exceed either organization's individual capabilities. Joining the GOC means accepting that some things are too dangerous to exist, and humans deserve the right to make that determination unilaterally. It's decisive, efficient, and occasionally catastrophically wrong, but at least they file excellent reports. 8 groups, 8 philosophies, 0 agreement on how to handle the anomalous. Art terrorists, flesh worshippers, machine cultists, billionaire auctioneers, and everyone in between, all fighting over the same impossible world. Which group's approach makes the most sense to you? Drop your answer below and subscribe for more SCP deep dives.